This is an exciting topic that we have is basically the year of the crypto funds. We have some amazing guests here to my left who will all be sharing their diverse backgrounds and how they came to the blockchain and crypto scene. I myself am co-founder and CEO of Blue Block Capital, a blockchain advisory and investment fund founded by VCs in Hong Kong and China. My first exposure to crypto was back in 2012 when I made my first purchase with Bitcoin, but I was still working in M&A and management consulting with my firm. I wasn't convinced until actually this past year, and that was because a lot of my clients were asking me directly, help me set up a trading shop in terms of crypto, as well as which blockchain protocols to take a look at to embed into their business. I'm now a full-time believer, and then I was ready to bet my career on it, and I left my employer. Now let's meet my guest to my left. Please introduce yourself and let us know when and how you became a believer.
Thanks, David. I'm Sandra Wu by way of introduction. I'm actually a private equity securities lawyer for the past 12, 13 years, predominantly working for Wall Street law firms in New York, Sydney, and Hong Kong. I kind of had my first experience with crypto back in 2013 when my brother decided that it would be a brilliant idea to start a little mining venture in his university dorm because electricity was cheap. So I funded his first mining venture. We got a few Bitcoins out of that. But truly going neck deep into crypto was really back in 2016, 2017, when I was actually part of a team helping them with the ICO from a legal advisory perspective. And since then, I've gone totally neck deep into crypto, managing Origin X Capital, which is an investment advisory boutique firm, as well as, so we do a lot of deep dive deep dive into the due diligence of projects, and we invest alongside them. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Juwan Lee. I have been an investor for many years, about 30, so I'm probably the oldest one on this panel. And I started as a venture capitalist, early stage investor in the Silicon Valley, and then did hedge funds, asset management, worked at SAC Capital, and ran prop trading at JP Morgan, and also ran one of the largest asset management companies in China. About 4 years ago, I left the industry because really there was very little, gains left in terms of the capital markets. I felt it was a lot of compliance, a lot of routine, and more about risk management. And we started an innovation company called NexChange. And we do a number of things. We do market, invest, and create. And I would say our entry into crypto started more from the advisory business, and now we're doing a lot more investments. We are in the process of setting up a crypto fund, and also from my family office, we're very active investors in crypto.
Hey, morning, guys. I'm Alex Yamashita. I'm one of the founding partners at TLDR. My background was I started out in institutional finance, Goldman Sachs, CLSA, quit that, and went into actually lifestyle businesses, hospitality, health food companies, and the like. And I got into crypto because I was intellectually bored. A lot of the things that I was doing were fun, but they didn't really stimulate me up here. And so, sort of 2015, 2016, started reading up a little bit more about it. And then as things go, you find friends who are also into it. And then when you happen to have that dialogue and that energy, things start to take shape. And so, we started off as, I guess, friends pulling together crypto assets. Beginning of last year, a bunch of us came from company building backgrounds, financial backgrounds, legal backgrounds, media backgrounds, and so we got into the advisory. And I guess right now, TLDR, who we are a firm that invests. We do institutional facing advisory, and we have a security practice as well, too.
Hi, my name is Greg Wolfson. I'm the head of business development at Element Group. We are an advisory OTC desk, hedge fund, and broker-dealer based in Santa Monica, California, with offices New York, New Jersey, and Barcelona. I come from a background of in merger acquisition and financial consulting. I started in crypto in about 2013, following it very closely when Bitcoin skyrocketed to like $45. And And I joined BTCC as head of business development there in about 2014. So I come from the exchange background, and we currently have about 35 people across our different offices.
Hi, my name is Oleg. I come from the company called CryptoBazar. We, given my heavy accent, it's obvious we're coming from Russia. We have two divisions. One of them is the fund, so it's operational since early 2017, and we apparently invest mostly in the core technology projects, protocols, security, and so on and so forth. The second, let's say, division for us is events and the community. We run a community of about 200,000 people since 2013. We run events, probably the largest events in our region, and we also hold what we call internally, well, pretty much like a coding factory for the world, let's say, because we believe that one of the strongest, let's say, skills that you can find in our part of the world, in our region, is the developers, and we have tons of them. Actually, my partner, Andrei, who's, I think, sitting somewhere here in the audience, he's the first CTO of a company called Mail.ru. I don't know if you're familiar with this space. It's like a Gmail for the Russian-speaking world. And through him, of course, we have access to hordes, basically, of coders, developers, hackers, and so on. So we run hackathons. This year, we're doing like a very big, probably the largest one for about half a year long, 2,000 developers and so on. So, and that's the sort of a value that we bring to the projects who would want to do something very advanced in the technology level.
Thank you. Hi guys, my name is Tatiana Koffman. My journey into the crypto world has been sort of untraditional. I'm a non-practicing attorney. I spent a couple of years in investment banking, mostly working on the trading floor with derivatives and asset-backed securities. And I chose to leave the financial world because I felt that it was inefficient and incredibly prone to fraud and needed to be overhauled, and didn't see myself as the person at the time to be able to, spearhead that. Moved to LA and started working for Linkin Park, the rock band, which some of you may have heard, and started venture capital investments for them. So ended up in the world of consumer technology, then went on to start my own consumer tech platform. And crypto was never really something on my mind until about a year ago, where everyone in my neighborhood just started trading it. And I happen to have lived in Venice, which is the same neighborhood that Brock Pierce was living in. And so everyone where I turned was trading in their spare time. So I started trading too, and I just kind of fell into this crypto hole. And one day I went by the DNA office, which are sponsors here, and I ended up joining the fund for a time. And actually that's where I learned how to structure deals and tokenomics, and I did several utility deals when I was there. As I was kind of making my way through the crypto industry, I increasingly became more and more interested in asset-backed securities, and how we could put those on the blockchain, and how we could make the past trading markets, particularly in derivatives, more efficient and less prone to fraud. So I started advising companies on how to do that, and I'd recently left to join a different fund on the issuer side, and it's actually in renewable energy. And so we're tokenizing a fund to raise $500 million to fund a series of waste-to-energy plants around the world that essentially burn garbage and convert it into clean fuel. So we're trying to change the world, all while using crypto and blockchain.
Thanks, everybody. So we're here to talk about, Year of the Crypto Fund, and why is the Year of the Crypto Fund? So 2016, we had about 25 funds show up. Back in 2017, we had about 120. And 2018, we're expecting about 150 to pop up. And, at the end of the day, the question is, who are these funds, right? It seems like a lot of the people on this panel come from institutional background, whether it be consulting, banking, and VC. So I guess the question to you, Juwan, is basically from your background, who do you think these people are? These 150 funds coming out into the space in 2018, and why 2018?
Well, I think if you look at the number of funds, it's about nearly over 400 right now. And for majority of them are actually crypto hedge funds, and then followed by crypto VC funds. So my perspective is that I think that not necessarily in the front half of this year, but the second half of the year will be a lot of hedge fund managers coming into the space. I believe that will come in two forms. One, hedge fund managers leaving current hedge funds to start crypto funds, as well as some of the more traditional hedge funds starting to dabble in it. Now remember, I think it's very important to note how small this space really is. So when you look at like cryptocurrency relative to the whole capital markets, it's like 0.4%, so it's tiny. So the actual funds are also, besides the brand names, 2 or 3 of them, they're really small. So bear in mind, when we say crypto funds are coming into the space, they're tiny funds that are coming into the space.
And for you, Tatiana, you're from a VC background. Do you see a lot of that coming in 2018?
So I see a lot of baby hedge funds being born as well, and it comes from, you've had a few successful ICO deals, maybe you invested in Bitcoin early, you've accumulated a couple of $1 million, maybe you got your friends to co-invest, and all of a sudden you have a $5 million fund, right? So, those kind of funds, the hedge funds, they're popping up, but then you see the venture capitalists, the serious venture capitalists that are sitting there and they're creating strategy and valuation techniques and want to enter the space in a very methodical way. And I think on the institutional side, it was particularly obvious a few months ago when you saw, if anyone does over-the-counter deals, you saw a bunch of very large orders for Bitcoin coming in. And that's indicative to me that these guys wanted to sit on Bitcoin so they could deploy it into ICOs and other opportunities that were coming in.
Right, so you see a lot of institutionals coming into the space. But question for you, Sandra, because your background is in regards to legal and counsel. Do you think regulations have anything to do with the institutionals finally coming in second half?
I definitely think institutional players will come in once the regulations are more clear and less grey matter. I'm also seeing a lot of funds come out from, say, the exchanges. So the exchanges have made big money in 2016, 2017, and a lot of them have now formed their own capital fund to do the treasury management for all the funds that they've got, the excess capital they've got. Likewise, I've seen a lot of ICO founders where they've made quite a substantial gathering of funds from their ICO. They've also created their own fund external to whatever project they're working on to do the treasury management as well.
Got it. And I imagine a lot of the institutionals coming to the crypto space is obviously to earn some dividends and money and yield. A question for you, Alex, is that what's your outlook for 2018 and 2019?
So I get the tough question. Well, I'm definitely not one to make predictions. I think it's a bit of a losing game, but I do think that as you were touching on, right? The two sort of blockades right now are regulatory clarity and custodian. The custodian problem for institutional investment. So I do think that if you look at it from that perspective, yes, consensus being that second half of 2018 bull market. I think that that does make sense, but ultimately. Who really knows? I do know that what we can say for sure is that the way innovation is financed has changed forever, right? And I think that what is interesting is how, traditionally the old model of VC, it doesn't have the liquidity issue that crypto adds, and so I think that from a fund, really being able to manage that liquidity and understanding that that's one of the main differences as we head into next year.
Got it. And not so much on outlook, but Alex, Greg, in terms of when you look at projects, et cetera, is the way that a lot of projects in terms of due diligence and trying to see, real business models and go-to-market strategies, is that what you're looking at the second half of this year and next year?
Right, so I definitely, the market's gotten a lot tighter for new ICO projects. We're certainly looking at it much more carefully. I think we're probably about 6 months into a 12-month bear market. So we're mostly looking for things that have established business models, something that can actually achieve alpha. Or, mostly, if you've been holding crypto, you've been chasing beta, which has been great so far, but going forward, that's not really it. And I think that you're just going to see funds that are much more actively managed. You'll have, obviously much more mixed funds, not just long only, much more long short, and even some activist funds. So, crypto's never gone through a full economic cycle. So we've never, it's really only been in existence since the financial crisis in 2008. So it's really just been an upward trajectory. And so I think that's a major outstanding question right now, is what's going to happen when the broader market turns.
And last question for you, Oleg, because a lot of the commentary over here on the panel has been in regards to the Western and Asian part of the world. I mean, you're from Russia, so is the market pretty much the same in terms of our outlook versus your outlook?
Yeah, we're definitely making a lot of bets right now on the protocol because we all, I think, look in the space a little bit in a way. It's very easy to compare it to probably to what we all understand. So basically, if we take our mobile phones now and try to compare them to the first computers, remember those big machines with punch cards that could easily occupy like half of this room and stuff? And I mean, the use case for those machines was so limited, right? And the capacities of them were so limited. And I mean, imagine if those times somebody would develop something like, I don't know, Instagram or Shazam or Snapchat. It would just not work, right? I mean, so the same, we believe, is happening in the blockchain area right now because the protocols themselves do not cope with the expectations of the big corporate businesses. Yes, there is legal issues. Yes, there is issues with custodian services and insurance and so on and so forth. But the fundamental technology is still lagging behind, and that's why, again, we're really taking a big bet on this. We are really supporting all the projects that are trying to build new protocols, the protocols of new generation, build the security levels around this, and so on and so forth. And there are not too many of them, of course.
All right, thank you. So I think our time's up. So we're going to be here for the entire weekend. So if you guys have any questions for myself or the people on the panel, please come to us. We'd be more than happy to kind of share what's happening in the crypto fund space. Thank you.
Thank you.